What would you do if you found out something you cherished was possessed? Would you try and throw it away? Destroy it? Maybe sell it to some unsuspecting buyer? And how did it become haunted in the first place? Those are the questions we're going to ask as we explore those very objects. Some you might be familiar with, others so obscure that they've been lost to the sands of time until now. I'm your host, Evan O'Hare. Welcome to Haunted Objects. Today we're going to take a look at a harmless skeleton that teaches the future of medicine. So before you buy that trinket at a garage sale or accept that family inheritance, take a look at these haunted objects and decide for yourself if you believe. The hit 1982 horror film Poltergeist became known as one of Hollywood's most cursed films after the cast were plagued by a series of tragedies once the film wrapped production. We all know the plot, don't we? A family left terrified by a number of paranormal events that turned their lives upside down. It was utterly terrifying, but it was the horror that came later that really sent shivers down horror fans' spines. During one particularly harrowing scene, actress Jo Beth Williams is seen dropping into a pool full of skeletons. Harmless props, excellence in the development of special effects. How on earth could a plastic prop come to be a haunted object, one might ask? It seems not too many people were aware at the time that those bones she was surrounded by were in fact real human bones. Could this be the real reason the curse of the poltergeist has continued to plague its cast? Or is it nothing more than a drastic budgetary necessity and a series of unfortunate misfortunes? This is one of those examples of life imitating art. The film follows a family who are the victims of vengeful spirits, disturbed from their resting place and desecrated for the purpose of lining the pockets of an already wealthy corporation. But that's not the only place that the dead were being desecrated. Strange accidents, exorcisms, deaths, and remakes certainly cement the film as a contender for most haunted film prop. The most famous victim of the poltergeist curse was Heather O'Rourke. She appeared as Carol Ann in the first two installments of the film, as well as the third installment, Poltergeist 3, which hit cinemas in 1988. She died just 4 months before the movie's release, aged just 12 years old, following a misdiagnosis on her flu-like symptoms. Just 4 months after the film release, tragedy struck with the untimely death of actress Dominique, who played the family's eldest daughter, Dana, when she became the victim of a grisly murder orchestrated by her possessive ex-boyfriend. She wasn't the only cast member to fall victim to a violent murder. Character actor Lou Perryman played Pugsley in the original movie and suffered a particularly brutal end in 1992 when he was hacked to death with an axe, aged 67. In the same year, Richard Lawson became close to being another victim of the so-called curse. Richard, who played one of the parapsychologists, Ryan, in the original film, was involved in a terrifying plane crash when the U.S. Air Flight 405 crashed into New York City's Flushing Bay en route to Cleveland. He credits a last-minute seat switch with being the reason he was one of the only 27 survivors. Ironically, because someone recognized him from the film and bumped him up to first class. Will Sampson and Juliet Beck's deaths are not usually attributed to the curse directly. Both had pre-existing health conditions which contributed to their deaths. Beck himself had been battling cancer all through the filming of Poltergeist 2, in which he played the evil preacher Cain, and passed away a few months before the film premiered. Whilst Will suffered a chronic degenerative condition called scleroderma. Still, Beck adds to the number of untimely deaths. If he were the only person to die after appearing in the franchise, it wouldn't seem to be connected. But because he, like many others who acted in Poltergeist, suffered from an illness or incurred other misfortune, he's often counted as evidence nonetheless. While Samson was the one responsible for the exorcism that, according to other cast members, cleansed the energy of the production. Amongst other oddities to be attributed to the curse is the reported attack on set during which Oliver Robbins, who played the middle Freeling child, Robbie, was attacked on set by a mechanical clown. In a scene in which he was supposed to be struggling with this creepy clown, it malfunctioned and choked him. Because the scene was meant to show a struggle, many members of the cast allegedly thought his reaction was acting, and it wasn't until he began to turn blue that they intervened. Robbins survived the attack and is alive and well today, but still haunted by the misfortune of those not so lucky. James Caan wrote the novelization of Poltergeist, so he wasn't involved with the film's production, but that doesn't mean he was exempt from strange occurrences. In fact, Caan reported that right after writing the line, "Lightning streaked the sky," a freak lightning bolt struck his building. While that might be just a very strange coincidence, Caan said that his lights went out and the video games in his house turned on and started playing. The Poltergeist curse did not end with the original 3 films. Gil Kenan, who directed the 2015 franchise Reboot, was actually looking for the curse. According to Kenan, he found it. The film was plagued by strange equipment failures on one plot of land, and the director also reported that the house he stayed in while filming was haunted by a female figure in a black dress. The figure, he said, would follow him to and from set. So what did cause this curse? Well, as it turns out, according to people who worked on the film, the skeleton used in the iconic pool scene were actual human remains. Jo Beth Williams would later tell TV Land, "In my innocence and naivete, I assumed that these were not real skeletons. I assumed that they were prop skeletons made out of plastic or rubber. I found out, as did the crew, that they were using real skeletons because it's far too expensive to make fake skeletons out of rubber." This startling fact has been corroborated over the years, most prolifically during an unrelated lawsuit during which special effects makeup artist Craig Reardon testified under oath that the skeletons used were real. "I acquired a number of actual biological surgical skeletons," is what they're called. "They're for hanging in classrooms in study. They are actual skeletons from people. I think the bones are acquired from India." Phew! Considering all of that, it's fair to say that there is a compelling argument as to why the film would be cursed. Whether the bones are indeed a haunted object or whether a misfortune series of coincidences simply adds fuel to the fire of a curse is up to you. But one thing can be said with absolute certainty. The truth is as elusive now as it was then. Whether the cursed objects shown this evening are of myth, urban legend, or fantastical paranormal occurrences is for you to decide. I hope I haven't left you eyeballing your shelves and contemplating your latest thrift shop purchase. But if I did, get in touch. Tell us about your possessed possession, and maybe we'll feature it right here on Haunted Objects.
Thank you for listening to Haunted Objects, brought to you by Resurrection Films, hosted by Evan O'Hare, and produced by Shawnee Elise Cook, directed and edited by Jason D. Morris, written by Carly Street, Mark Francisco, and Jason D. Morris, co-produced by Troy L. Foreman and Jason Hewlett, executive produced by Resurrection Films and Berg Garabedian. Haunted Objects was originally aired on the Paranormal Network for Joe Blow Media Inc.